it. Let's get a word on this and the other big stories of the day. Candice Holdsworth, the writer and broadcaster, is back with us. Candice, how are you doing?
Good, good. How are you?
All good at this end. Nice to have you back with us. Let's start with that story then. Over 40 Labour MPs urging the use of digital ID to tackle illegal migration, they say, and improve access to public services. Let's listen to the man who's been advocating this for years, Tony Blair. He says digital IDs are the way forward. Here's what he said.
I am constantly saying to my own party, Labour Party, which will probably win this election, you've got to focus on this technology revolution. It's not an afterthought. It's the single biggest thing that's happening in the world today of a real world nature that is going to change everything. Leave aside all the geopolitics and the conflicts and war and America, China, all the rest of it. This revolution is going to change everything about our society, our economy, the way we live, the way we interact with each other.
I mean, that's meant to be the positive news from Tony Blair, Candice. I mean, he's saying, you know, what's not to like, essentially.
Yes, I like the way that they frame it as, and this is going to be the future.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't do it, you're going to get left behind. I mean, we're going to get left behind by all these countries who are going to steam ahead of us. And you think, well, which countries? Are they free societies? Are they democratic societies? Do people have liberal individual rights like they do here? These are ancient liberties that people really value in this country. And just because something's new doesn't mean it's good. I mean, the fact that we have something like Magna Carta that stretches back 1,000 years, that's still very meaningful. It's not some anachronistic, horrible idea. The sorts of values that we have, that we're not a papers, please society, that's very deeply embedded.
Sure.
And I think, you know, our digital IDs would 100% change the relationship between citizens and the state. Because, I mean, practically, you think about it, the state then keeps this enormous database of everyone in the country. A bureaucracy exists to examine it. I mean, that is quite sinister when you think about it in terms of surveillance. And I mean, I'm not a conspiracy theorist in any way. I mean, I just look at this purely philosophically. It's one of the things that I love about this country, that people resist that sort of overweening by the state.
And I can't work out what's in it for us. I mean, all right, OK, so your digital ID, you jump on an aeroplane and if you've, I don't know, maybe you've forgotten your ticket, you won't be able to forget your ticket if you look at it in that respect, because everything will be zinced in to your ID. So doubtless there'll be a couple of moments in your life where you go, oh, right, that was quite useful. But generally speaking, this is more useful for governments than it is for citizens by a country mile.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is it's like the very specific case that the Labour MPs have laid out. It's to deal with criminality. But you're absolutely right. For ordinary citizens, I can't really see what it offers us. I mean, we already have forms of ID that we can use when we need them. Though I will say that I think that there is a lot of thinking, especially in technological circles, that is the way that we're moving. People are going to live increasingly digital lives online, and you'll have algorithms which will optimize all sorts of aspects of your life. So they'll manage your health, for instance. They'll manage your finances. And I think that's what Tony Blair is talking about when he's talking about the future, because I know he's very interested in artificial intelligence as well. And, you know, you've got that health guru in the US. I don't know if you've heard of him, Brian Johnson, the guy who's trying to...
Yeah, he wants to live forever, doesn't he?
Yeah, and so his whole argument is my brain won't make my choices for me, the algorithm will. So that's sort of what a lot of people are imagining. Of course, you know, you don't need to have read much science fiction to think, well, how could that go wrong? How could that go wrong? I mean, that could become very sinister very quickly.
And again, governments probably would relish this kind of thing. It's not been really taken up, though, by Starmer. This group of 40 Labour MPs are really echoing the words of Tony Blair. We're going to speak to one of them in around about 20 minutes' time. His name is Jake Richards. He's the Labour MP for Rother Valley, member of the Home Affairs Select Committee. He's going to join us to put some meat on the bones and maybe convince us, after all, Candice, that you and I are barking up the wrong tree and we should embrace this thing.
I know, but maybe we're just like old liberals. And I just, you know, maybe there's been a bit of a value shift, and maybe some people just think, well, that's not important.
Yeah.
You know, people often say that, and they used to say that about CCTV. Well, if you haven't done anything wrong, then why do you care? And you're sort of making the argument philosophically that actually, no, I don't like that shift. But if people think, well, I prefer efficiency over individuality, then, you can see how these, Labour MPs or people in politics can make the argument, and it becomes harder to oppose it.
Yeah, and if you haven't done anything wrong, you've got nothing to hide and all that business. I mean, that's just an argument to point a camera at everybody's front door, isn't it? I mean, why would that bother you? You've done nothing wrong. Just have a camera looking into your house 24/7. Although we have opted, I suppose, voluntarily to stick cameras on our own house looking the other way through doorbell technology. But maybe that's another story. Let's look to this one. Rachel Reeves says, "We have your backs." This is reference Donald Trump's tariff. He's insisted, of course, there will be no relief on those tariffs. He's demanded that China backs down from the trade war. Let's have a listen to him speaking about those tariffs yesterday.
When they look at the fact that we have $1 billion trade deficit, when you look at the trade deficit that we have with certain countries, way over $1 billion per country, but with China it's $1 trillion. And we have to solve our trade deficit with China. We have $1 trillion trade deficit with China. Hundreds of billions of dollars a year we lose with China.
There it is. Is that the way to address it? And is Rachel Reeves right to say she can, well, have your back?
I think she's made herself a prisoner to events. I mean, she's just put herself in such a rigid position. These very thin margins she's got with her headroom and her fiscal rules. I mean, something uncertain and very volatile comes along like this, although it wasn't totally unforeseen. People knew there was going to be a trade war. I mean, she knew that we were entering into a time of economic uncertainty, and it puts her in a difficult position. She's raised taxes before we've achieved growth. So that doesn't leave her in a good position. It's either, so she slashes the state, and that makes her very unpopular with Labour MPs, or she raises taxes.
Yeah.
And obviously, ordinary people are just like, we can't take any more taxes. I mean, they've raised taxes on business, and business are like, you are squeezing us. Plus, with all this macroeconomic uncertainty, it's making it even harder to do business. So what does she have left? What moves on the chessboard can she make? I don't think she's got many.
No, I don't think she has any at all. And I don't, I'm not suggesting we're the only country to be sort of battling or trying to find our way around this tariff story. There's a lot of very hardened Republicans in the United States who can't get their head around it either. I saw some people tweeting about this, those that you would call about as right-wing Republicans it gets, saying, we didn't vote for this. But nonetheless, some would say, well, actually, Trump did say tariffs was his favourite word. He made no doubt about it, that pretty early on in his administration, he would start employing tariff policies when it comes to trading with nearly every country on the planet. So it's not new news, this.
It's not. I mean, I remember I was discussing it over a month ago, and we were saying, what is the outcome of this going to be? What does this mean for free trade? What is Britain's position in this? Are we going to, dig into a free trading position, which we have a long history of, sort of championing free trade? None of this was unforeseen. I just think with everything that's going on right now, I just wonder who will blink first. I mean, China's, I think, picked up that America is taking an increasingly adversarial position towards it. And it's said twice now, we will not back down from a fight. Yeah. It just depends who has more leverage. Who can be hit harder by this.
True. Listen, Candy, stay with us. We're back with more stories from Candy Holdsworth in just a couple of moments' time. That question is digital ID the answer to the migrant crisis? Well, 40 Labour MPs think it could be. We'll chat to one of them in just a bit, although Cliff in Berkshire does say quite reasonably, if anything Tony Blair thinks is great, I don't want. Would it not be necessary to do away with cash in order to make the digital IDs work the way they want it to? Yeah, 100%. There would be no cash in the natural extension of that journey. You wouldn't need any of that. And this seems to be the kind of argument that it kind of rids the world of lots of bureaucracy. It simplifies all the systems that we live within and therefore makes life easy. But that spectacularly omits the huge recalibration of a citizen's relationship with its government. And governments are not there to track people, to monitor people, to make algorithms based on an individual's behaviour. That should never be the role of government in a democratic society. 100%, you know, a 10-year-old could work that out. And that's what's central to all of this.